everybody, welcome back to like another This Week on Switch. This is a Switch edition. If you have a Switch, stay tuned. I'm going to walk you through the next 2 weeks of games on the Switch until basically the end of December. Now, you may be looking at this saying, Sonoket, are you wearing pajamas? You would be correct. I am actually wearing pajamas because to do this job, I don't have to even wear pants. You wouldn't even believe it. I'm not actually even wearing pants. I'm wearing a blanket and pajamas. So let's just get started. Here's your next 2 weeks of games coming out on the Switch that I bet you didn't even know about. Our first game, here we go. Get ready. It's gonna go quick. It's really not gonna go quick. These videos are like 45 minutes. I'm just kidding. It's called Dead End Job. It's gonna be $14 and apparently 44 cents because that's how they do things on the Nintendo store. If you know about Ren and Stimpy and old 90s cartoons, kind of has that aesthetic, that vibe. You're going to be running around. It's a co-op twin-stick shooter in which you kill ghosts and ghouls and mutants and all that sort of thing. And it's a roguelike, so it's going to be different every time you play through. And it looks like a new kind of, roguelike. So check that out tomorrow. Okay, so our next game is called Event Horizon Space Defense. It's actually going to be on sale for $3.50. Basically. But you know those old games where you flew around space in a top-down kind of lo-fi, low-graphic environment? This is like that. So they're going to be throwing waves and waves of enemies at you. The neat thing about this one, as opposed to all those old arcade games, is that you can actually modulate and change your ship. So you can change where the weapons are, how you design your own craft. It gives you kind of a grid out, and you can put different inserts, different pieces on your ship and build it kind of the way you want to, which is super cool. So customize, build, and go attack in this kind of arcade style shooter, which is very neat. I do think that's a neat concept, at least, or a new take on an old kind of a game. Next, moving up to December 16th, we have Travel Mosaics, a Paris tour for those of you who are worldwide travelers and want to put together something called a nonogram that I really don't understand what that is, but apparently it's a puzzler where you have to fill in details of a grid based on numbers. That's all I really know. And you make pictures. I've never played a nonogram puzzle game, so hopefully you understand what that means. Okay, then on December 17th, we have a game called Rift Keeper, which you can pick up for about $10. Now this one, the graphical style reminds me a little bit of Dead Cells, but it's almost as though they took like an SNES or an NES game and flipped the notch on the graphics up just by one peg and then released this. It's a 2D roguelite platformer that has, very active, very fast-paced combat, a lot of melee stuff, a lot of dodging, a lot of kind of frame-perfect looking combat that you're going to have to work your way through. And just the style itself looks really neat. It looks different enough than most other stuff that I've seen. And again, I get very Dead Cells vibes from it without it actually being just a knockoff Dead Cells. So definitely keep an eye on that one. Okay, this next one is absolutely the most Japan game I have ever heard about in my life. It's called Kukiyomi. It comes out December 19th. Consider it. It's $5. And you basically solve problem after problem with trying to be the most considerate person alive. So they're going to give you a situation like, if you were here on the train, should you sit on the left side of this person or the right side of this person just to make everyone on the train the most happy? They say the tagline, alone or with a friend, enjoy considerate to your heart's content and make everyone considerate. Anyway, consider it together, I guess. Next up, also on December 19th, we have a pretty generic racing game called JDM Racing. You can pick this up for $3.50 when it comes out. They say realistic 3D graphics. I have a small problem with that, but that's fine. All right, now my favorite kind of releases, porn games. On December 19th, you can play a game called Mirror. I don't know what this game has to do with a mirror. It's a match 3, but also gal game. And I believe there's gonna be porn in it, some kind of nudity, which obviously is my favorite part of the game. So if you really like match 3 games and also pornography, this is pretty much a union of the two best worlds for you. It's made by Sakura Game. I'm not sure if those are the same people that make the Sakura series, but those games obviously are stellar, and I obviously have purchased all of them and play them every single day. So next on December 19th for $40, we have Bayala the game. Then they just chose not to use capital letters in their title at all, so it just looks like someone accidentally typed this up in there. Anyway, apparently this was a movie that they also are now releasing a game version of, which is probably why it costs $40. You know, everything that you would come to expect from these types of games, they got it. Boom, unicorn riding as a fairy. Boom, playing a raccoon eating fish out of the river. Boom, flying around on a dragon. Boom, doing weird platforming on lava. They got all of it, and then you save the kingdom from the weird shadow princess, shadow queen. Oh, fear. Okay, this is too tropey. We're moving on. On December 20th, a personal favorite game of mine is coming out for about $8. It's called 60 Parsecs. And the idea of this game is that something very, very bad is about to happen. In this case, the space station's about to explode. You have 60 seconds to run around the space station area and gather supplies, gather food, gather crew members, gather tools, and throw them all into your life pod, basically. And then you have to survive your voyage from leaving the space station to the safety of a planet that you're trying to reach. But the thing is, as the days go by, you're going to have to use up those supplies that you picked over the course of the adventure. It's obviously a roguelike game. It's going to be different each time. Your challenges are going to be different. The bad things that are going to happen to you are going to be different. And so depending on what you grabbed, you may have a really easy time, or you may just die, you know, day 2 of the plague, or space plague, I guess, in this case. But 60 Parsecs was originally known as, I think, 60 Seconds, which was an Earth-based game, and then they took it to space. Next up on December 20th as well, we have a game called Farabelle, which is going to retail for $10. It's a pretty standard turn-based strategy game, or a tactical strategy game. But the twist that they put on this one is that you actually begin at the end of the game when you're incredibly strong and have to play the game in reverse. And so the way they describe it is you're going to have to take penalties as you go backwards, because you obviously didn't have all these abilities as you move to the start of the story. And so you have to choose, like, do you want less health? Do you want less abilities? Do you want less attack power? Can you survive without this unit or that unit? And so it does put an interesting twist on a kind of tired genre of game. And so this may be worth checking out. It's rated E for everyone. Games like this next one called Clumsy Rush make me really wonder how people came up with some of these ideas. The idea behind Clumsy Rush, which is $5 by the way, is that you play as a really fat hippo trying to make your way down a stage while bumping into stuff, pushing stuff out of the way, and stealing, I believe, a crown from your co-op, your buddy. And so it's a competitive party game, so it's just kind of wacky, crazy, and it's, you know, it involves hippos in very, very bright colors. So the Switch is just on a very happy kick of all these happy games. Next, we have a deeper RPG strategy game called Warhammer Quest 2: The End Times, which is going to be $30. On December 23rd, you can make your way through different Warhammer Lord dungeons with a group of adventures that you kind of customize, you buy, you upgrade, you trade, you barter, and you make your way through these areas, and you obviously are trying to survive the dungeon as you go. But it's a grid-based tactical kind of a game. It almost looks like what you would see if you had a group of friends together and you were playing D&D on a board from above. This kind of the vibe that I get from this game. And if you're a fan of the Warhammer universe, you're probably going to pick this up anyway. Age verification on a princess game? Nudity and sexual themed art. This makes me really uncomfortable. Okay, next we have a game that makes me very uncomfortable. On December 23rd, for about $30, you can play Princess Maker Fairy Tales Come True. They're very clever. They changed fairy tales. Instead of FAI, it's FAE, which, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it seemed like it was a kid's game because it's like you have to raise a girl to become a princess, blah, blah, blah. But then when I tried to visit the page, it was like, please enter your age to verify that you're old enough to view this. And I was like, isn't this a game about little girls? And yes, so the answer is yes, it is a game about little girls. And the idea is that you raise a little girl to become a princess. But so the issue is that when you play the trailer, it's like mature 17 nudity and sexual themes. So I am thoroughly confused and don't understand where that part comes in, but I don't like it. Let's keep going. After that, on December 23rd, we have Mushroom Quest for $3, which describes itself as a kind of classic puzzler, but with no intense pressure. You have as much time as you need to solve the puzzles of each of the stages, but it does say they're very, very tough, and you're gonna need to use that analytical side of your brain. So basically for me, I'm out, because I don't have actually that section of my brain. I'm a huge idiot, and so this is not my jam, but for $3, you know, this probably will do it for a lot of you, because you're all smarter than I am. This is just batshit. I thought this was another weird porn game that was gonna make me super uncomfortable. This one is called Princess Maker Go Go Princess. Straight out of Japan, I guarantee it, for $13. It looks as though you're basically playing a board game where you move your character around the board, and you're gonna get hit with different events, like RPG battles and different cinema scenes and art and all this stuff, which, yeah, it is all of those things, but at least it's not a weird porn game again, so you got that. All right, then after that, on December 23rd, we have a game called Sacred Stones for $15. I had originally thought that this was like, I want to be the Boshi, or I want to be the guy. It gives off that kind of a vibe, and I do think you're just going to be dying repeatedly playing this game. But it looks like you're going to be going through just boss after boss of these various stages, and you're just going to be trying to survive with retro-style graphics. And they're going to have hidden stuff, they're going to have secrets, special weapons with different, you know, all these weapons and items do different things, and so you're going to have to pack that into your strategy to basically win. But it does, I am refreshed to see that there are new kinds of games at least coming to the Switch. That's Sacred Stones on the 23rd. All right, so our next game, called Regions of Ruin, is also at the 23rd for $10, but it is a town builder plus RPG where you can like go to town, develop your town, you can craft gear and items and weapons, you can delve into all these dungeons, you can explore the terrain and the area that you're in. It has a pretty deep system here for, you know, crafting and those standard RPG elements that you're used to. You have to rescue and recruit dwarves for your township, and then you send workers to harvest resources from different regions. It almost feels a little bit like a Dark Lord story, or a Little King story on the Wii, I think it was back in. Anyway, that's a long time ago. Let's keep going. All right, then on December 24th, one day before Christmas, we have Funny Bunny Adventures for $5. They say highly recommended for children, which is fine because literally no one else will be playing this. A blend of like a strange Flash game and a weird fruit Tetris game. Or a match 3 maybe, where you collect carrots and there are leprechauns popping out of the ground. I don't know. All right, now after that, on Christmas, we have Barbarous, the Tavern of Ymir, where you have to run your own medieval kind of inn, and you have to satisfy all of your guests, all of the patrons that come in. It's another one of these games that looks like a phone game or a Flash game that they just kind of moved over to the Switch for reasons unknown. It seems to me that it's just going to be a lot of clicking on various things and trying to manage everyone's needs and or wants. I'm not sure that this is my kind of jam, but someone has to be buying this, right? Someone has to buy this garbage. That's why they port it, because people buy it. Also on Christmas, we have Tower of Babel, No Mercy, in which you drop structures on top of other structures and try to make the largest structure that you possibly can. The idea is that they're going to be swinging back and forth, and you have to drop them in a fashion that actually lands them balanced on the top of the tower. Very strange game, but at least it's new and interesting. All right, also on Christmas, we have a game that I can tell very little about because there's no gameplay videos that I can see. Onikin, the Unstoppable Edition, and Odalis, the Dark Call bundle. It's going to retail for $20. In it, it looks to be a throwback or an homage to super old school games, like on the NES era kind of games. So they're two games packaged together, I guess, in one, but both look to be that really old retro NES style platformer game. So if you're, you know, an old head who really likes those kinds of games, definitely check this out. So next we have another game coming out on Christmas called Tamashii, and they say that this was inspired by obscure Japanese games from the late 80s and 90s. And the atmosphere of the game is dark, it's kind of twisted, almost like Lovecraftian kind of horror. And you make your way through these various areas while doing puzzles and platforming where you're just trying to survive, it looks like, to get through them. Also on Christmas, for only $6, you can finally, what we've all been asking, when do we get a pool game on the Switch? Well, here you go. It's called 8 Ball Pocket, and you can play with friends and family. You can play local, co-op, or versus AI, or apparently challenge the best in the world in arcade mode. I'm assuming that means you can play against other players. They do say online ranking, so I'm assuming you can play versus other people. Also, this is very important. They say in the description, all of this comes in a setting with great graphics and jazz music. All right, so our last game on Christmas is called Streamium Immortally, which is a very strange title, but it's a roguelike shoot-'em-up dungeon crawler with just these crazy bright, like 90s era graphics. But basically, you're given a jetpack and you play as a ninja. You're going to get all these different weapons and items, and you can fly around each of the areas in order to complete them and dodge projectiles. And, you know what a roguelite is by now. And so now this is a ninja jetpack roguelite, which is actually, I've never played a ninja roguelite jetpack game like that. So, I don't know. I'll play it. All right, so we have 2 games that come out the day after Christmas. The first one is called Acuto Showdown, and it's another one of these 4-player party games, except in this one, you're all 4, like, warriors or ninjas or something, and you have to basically just kill each other with various weapons, items, abilities, powers. The stages are going to do different things. Again, think Gang Beasts, but this one has a ton of weapons, both ranged and melee. And again, they're just... The only problem I have with this is that it's only local. This does not support online versus anyone. You can either do 4-player local, or you can do versus AI and bots if you don't have 4 friends like me, because no one likes you. And then our last game, also on the day after Christmas, is called Rolled, and this is a strange one. You basically pick a character, and you're gonna be running along a surface, and you have to continually tilt or turn the surface in order to keep the guy that's running level. I think the idea is that you have to keep it level or mostly level. You know, it just looks like you run along a track and kind of rotate the D-pad and set a high score. I don't know. There just doesn't look much here, but you know, it probably won't be very expensive. This is actually not listed on Nintendo's page, so I don't know what it's going to cost when it comes out. Anyway, so that's it. That's going to be your next 2 weeks on the Switch. That's everything until the day after Christmas, basically, for all the games that are coming out on Switch. It doesn't look like there are any huge releases between now and Christmas, which is strange because you would think that a lot of the biggest releases of the year would be coming out right before or right on Christmas. But most of these are just a lot of kind of strange indie games. And I'm still waiting for FTL. When are they going to release FTL on the Switch? This is heresy that they have. This is heresy that we're getting games like Mirror and some weird princess porn game, but we don't have FTL. That should not be allowed. That should be illegal. Anyway, hopefully you found stuff in this list that you didn't know about that you're going to be excited to play when these come out. Again, most of them are inexpensive, so you know, plan accordingly. And if it were me, if I had to call out a couple of these, I would say 60 Parsecs and a couple of these party games are probably going to be the biggest hits out of this list, besides the porn game. Porn games are always going to be popular. I don't count those in the list. Anyway, again, hopefully that was helpful. If you end up wishlisting these or any of these seem interested, let me know in the comments. It's very helpful to me to know that these are helpful to you and that you're getting something out of these videos and maybe you learned something you didn't know or whatever the case may be, right? But as always, let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought in general in the comments. Very helpful. Hit me up on Discord or Twitter or Instagram if you want to get involved. Join the Discord. We try to do weekly game nights now with various things. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can. And I thank you to all those people who are doing that now. That helps me continue to make these videos for you all the time. This is all I do. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not even wearing pants. I just come right down here and make videos. That's all I do. No life, literally none. Anyway, until next time, I hope this all was helpful. Have a Merry Christmas, because the next one of these I'll be making in 2 weeks from now, and Christmas will be over. So have a Merry Christmas, have a happy holiday, and until next time, burn bright, everybody.